Hello everyone and welcome to today's live. Today we're going to be talking about how you can help your children study at home, especially here in the UK. All the state schools shut today, but also just the whole idea of having your children in front of their laptops or their computers to actually study at home can be quite difficult for some. So I've got two experts with me. I've got Claudia Dickson from CDlingua, who is a German teacher, and I've also got Marion MacDonald from the Homework Helpline, who are going to come on in a moment and help you with some top tips and some pointers on how you can support your children online. So before I do discuss it any further, I'll just let them introduce themselves to you, and then we've got a few questions to put to them so that they can answer you. And if you have any questions whatsoever about what's being discussed, please pop them in the comments below this video and we will answer them at the end of the discussion once we've gone through the questions. So I'm just going to go to Claudia first. So Claudia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi there. I'm Claudia Dickson and I'm a German tutor and language specialist. I've actually been teaching German for the past 29 years now. And the last 10 years, most of my tuition is actually online already. So there are a lot of things out there, a lot of help that can really help the children and the adults as well to support their kids.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. And Marion?
Hello everybody. Thank you, Anita. I'm Marion and I have been a prep and primary school teacher and more latterly a head of both a pre-prep and a prep school for 20 years. And I have set my Homework Helpline up because at the moment I am passionate, and particularly now more than ever, passionate about empowering parents to help their children learn at home, both in normal school curriculum, but right now we need this more than ever. And I just want to help and support as many parents go through this pretty hellish situation as best and as properly and as successfully as they possibly can. So yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. Thank you. So the reason I brought this to your attention online is because as an entrepreneur, we use a number of online tools and software that help us to stay connected in the entrepreneurial world as a business owner. But many people don't realize that you can actually use that in other areas of your career paths and supporting other people. So at this time when we really need to support how children carry on with their education, I thought it was really, really good to bring this to the forefront and let everyone know. So we're going to go to the first question, which is, what are your tips for parents to help their children study? Because obviously it's a completely different setup now. Children aren't leaving at 9 o'clock to go to school and coming back at 4. They're going to be at home. So we'll start off with Marion this time, and then the next one we'll start with Claudia. So Marion, how would you suggest that parents help their children study?
Yeah, thanks. Yes, this is something that I've been thinking a lot about in the last few days, and I've got quite a few little tips, but I'll give you my top ones. So routine is really, really important for children, and even the little ones will be feeling a little bit kind of discombobulated as they don't have their normal routine going to school every day. So I would suggest that you keep up the routine as much as you possibly can. Get up at a normal time, get in to have your breakfast, get out of your pajamas, get dressed, and then start the school day. Now, where you are going to work is also really important. It needs to be a quiet, calm and as free from distractions as you possibly can working environment, not just the kitchen table, which is still covered in Cocoa Pops. That is not going to be a conducive working environment, particularly for a child who's really easily distracted. So I would actually suggest getting like a workstation set up before you even start the week, like either in a spare bedroom or in the hallway or somewhere that's sort of quiet and away from the main hustle bustle of the house would be a really good start to the day. And then my third top tip is to have some sort of a plan or a timetable that you work out with your child or children. And obviously it'll be different if you've got different age groups. That's going to be really, really tricky because you kind of need to mesh them together so that the break times happen and things. But if you have worked on it with your child, then they know what the day is going to look like, just like they do at school. They all have a timetable on their desks or on their classroom door. They all know what's going to happen. Children don't like change. They like things to be sort of ordered. They like to know what's going to happen next. And so if you go through it at the beginning of the day or even the beginning of the week and say, look, right, this is what our day is going to look like. We're going to do half an hour of spellings, then we're going to do half an hour of times tables, and then you're going to have a half an hour break. then they at least know that they've got structure to their morning. Oh, and definitely only the morning, not the afternoon as well. I know some schools are saying that they've got to keep going till 3:30 like a normal school day. That's just not viable. It's not possible at home. So keep the afternoons for fun stuff.
Okay,
That's my
brilliant. Brilliant, thank you. And Claudia, you've got a slightly different angle really, because your main tutor groups are GCSE and A levels, so you're hitting the kids that are sort of 14, 15 up. So what sort of tips would you give for parents of teenagers? And I'm going to be listening really hard because I have 16 and 18-year-olds at home as well, and it is, the normal teenagers, they were in bed at 9:30 still this morning. So how can you help parents to actually motivate their teens to get up and actually carry on studying?
Well, I'm not going to say to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning then. Let's not start the day then. But I totally agree with Marion, because whether you work with younger children or older children, my first thing really was as well to have a plan, to have a schedule, because a lot of the young adults, when we call them young adults, they already had an idea of what they were going to do and where they were going to go. And suddenly that has all been sort of ripped from underneath them. And there needs to be some sort of plan, and also to know that it's not all the end. There are some positive things coming out of this as well. So first of all, as Marion said, it's a plan, it's a schedule. I mean, I would really plan in a way of, let's look at 3 months. Let's see what the children are wanting to do after the 3 months. But basically looking at it week by week. So set up a plan for the week. So one of the things, so set up a plan what you want to do, work out in the morning, work out a reasonable time when you start, because obviously the teenagers work differently. They may be up longer at night. But so I would say to start off with some schoolwork. After breakfast, do some schoolwork. Again, yes, look for an area where you can work. The kids can very often at that age work very well in their rooms. But so have a plan what sort of schoolwork you want to do. But also, again, yes, don't have it all day. Set a certain amount of hours. If you're having students that are working for their A levels, look at how much time they want to spend on each topic. And you can plan that through the week. So what topics they have to work on, what subjects in these topics they have to work on, for all the difference. For GCSE as well. There are a lot of kids that are doing the GCSE next year. So it is really looking well, not leaving this time undone, but have a schedule. Very important is that all the kids have got spare time, that they have free time to do what they really need to do. Third one would be that parents and kids really have to talk. They have to talk and work it out together. And then also, at the end of the week, I would have a look how it worked. Did it work? Did our schedule that they should really work it together, but did it work? And where can we tweak it, and what can we improve? Brilliant. And be positive. Got to be positive with this.
Oh, yeah, so, and that brings us actually really nicely to our next point, which is what about mindset and motivation? Because, kids of all age, especially the younger ones, don't usually see home as a place to study. They usually have that routine, like Marion said, about going to school, doing the work, coming home, and then they have a little bit of homework. Whereas the older ones, they sort of mix it up. So, Claudia, as you discussed motivation, what would you say would be the best ways, sort of, with mindset and motivation for teens to really sort of like keep going?
I think as you're working out your schedule to what you need to be doing, I also think, being positive, creating a happy working environment is very important. But for learning, I think there are nowadays so many things out there, really exciting, different ways of how to learn. I mean, myself speaking for languages, the internet provides so many amazing things which are actually fun to do as well. So I think that's really important to mix that up. It's not just sitting over the book and studying. It's really fun things to do. And perhaps parents can interact with some of the learning materials with their kids, whether it's working on their oral questions, ask a few questions. But I think implementing fun aspects to their learning is really important. And there really is a lot out there.
Brilliant, thank you. And Marion, for the slightly younger kids, how would you suggest they sort of keep themselves going, and their parents?
Yeah, and their parents. Well, yes, the motivation, exactly what Claudia said. It's a lot of positivity, and with younger children, well, reward systems, there's sort of the jury's out on whether reward systems work, but I'm sure all parents have their own way of rewarding, whether it's stickers or marbles or free time or trips to the cinema or whatever it is. Not that we can go to the cinema at the moment, but you know what I mean. But so motivation, sort of blatant bribery, really, with small children works a treat. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about mindset. Oh, Anita's, no, it's loading the pictures again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I'm going to keep talking because I think you can. Mindset it's doing really strange things.
Yeah, I think it's just
mindset. The growth and the fixed mindsets that that Carol Dweck talks about is particularly important for children. I'm really hoping you can hear this.
Yeah, we can. We can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
You can, okay, because my computer's reloading your pictures. Anyway, so Carol Dweck is a really, really important mindset, and basically a fixed mindset child will be the one who says, I can't do it, I'm not going to try, I don't know, I'm no good at that. And they have a very sort of negative view of their own, negative belief, negative view of their own possibilities, their own achievements. And then the growth one is obviously the flip side of that, which is the one that you want to instill in your child if they don't already have it, which is, yes, I can do this. Yes, I'm going to try a bit harder. Yes, I love the idea of a challenge, and I can take criticism, and, you know, it's all very much more positive. I put a link about it, or there's a brilliant article I was reading yesterday. I've just done a talk about it. But so how do you instill that in your child as a parent? Well, number one is that children learn their behavior and their whole attitude to life generally. A lot of that comes from the adults around them. And so that can be their teachers or their parents. So right now it's their parents. And if you are the one that's going, oh, don't worry, you know, I hated maths too, I was awful at maths, my spelling's dreadful. If you're really negative about your school experience or your work or whatever topic it is, that will rub off on your child. So it's really important that you are sort of working together as a team in a very positive and growth mindset kind of a way, so that the children, you know, yeah, you might have hated maths, you might have been rubbish at spelling, but you don't need to tell them that. Just say, okay, so yes, I found this really hard as well. No, you can't even say that. Just say, yes, this looks really interesting. It's a bit of a challenge. Let's see if we can learn it together. You know, just sort of try and be a lot more positive about it all. I will put a link after this chat for the Carol Dweck thing, because it's really the effect that you as an adult can have on the child's mindset when they're young is huge. Because once that child gives up, it's very hard to turn it around into a positive. Oh, one more thing on that is that if you tell a child they are awesome, they are amazing, they are so bright, and that was brilliant, that is fixed mindset, not growth mindset, because actually what you're doing is you're telling them that you've done it. You don't need to grow, you don't need to try any harder. So rather than praising by saying, wow, awesome, amazing, you're great, say, well, that bit's really good, and I really liked your effort in that one, and you tried really, really hard. So if you sort of praise the effort, then there's still room for improvement, rather than just being a final, like, right, you've done it, you're awesome, when maybe it wasn't actually awesome, but you're just so relieved that they've done it. That you tell them that they're awesome anyway. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, brilliant. So moving on to the second one, which is about what tools do you use as a teacher that you could recommend to other teachers that are offering support. So I know that in the education sector, which is like the normal education sector, the schools and all those sorts of places are implementing different support for their children. So mine, for instance, are using Firefly and all these other sort of different softwares that the schools are already using. But other teachers like yourselves who were doing one-to-ones with their students, or maybe in a situation where they've suddenly found themselves out of school, where their children are going home and there's not as much support, because, you know, other countries that are in this sort of situation may not have as much support for their children who have been sent home from school. So what sort of tools that you use that would be easily accessible to other teachers that perhaps you could recommend? Do you want to, Marion, do you want to have a go at that?
Yeah. So you mean for other teachers who are
so other teachers that are perhaps in a situation that they don't normally find themselves in. So and know that everything is going digital. So what sort of tools do you think that they might be able to use?
Okay, so well, the kind of thing that we're using now is excellent, and Zoom as well is very, very good. And the school, I've just done a cover term. The reason I'm in Kenya is I've just been teaching at a prep school out here for a term, and we closed at the beginning of the week, and we've gone to Google Classroom, which works really well if everybody's on Google. And I'm busy marking assessments that have been submitted by my classes, my sort of year 5 RS group, for example. I was marking their assessments this morning, and that does work quite well. I know there are other ones out there, and if you have a management system like Firefly, for example, then it becomes a lot easier. But I think that's largely aimed at older children who are able to access and sort of do all their downloads and then send it back. Younger children, there's all sorts of just websites and apps out there. And I mean, I just put something up at the Scholastic of just given out free learning packs for all year groups for primary school kids. So there's all sorts of resources available online, and some of the apps that they have for learning your times tables or doing your spellings or whatever, or learning your addition, number bonds, whatever it is. There's tons and tons of those out there. But with little children also, you've got tons of stuff at home. You've got drinking straws, you've got spaghetti, you've got Play-Doh, you've got cooking, you've got all sorts of things that you can do that don't actually require bits of paper or computers. So teachers and parents can sort of be a little bit inventive and imaginative.
Brilliant. And Claudia, because you use Zoom quite a lot, so there's some tools and things that you might want to discuss.
Yeah, for online tuition, I find Zoom is really amazing because what I like particularly about it is very versatile, very interactive. I can use the online whiteboard, which personally works really, really well. And what I like about it is that all parties can annotate at the same time on the whiteboard. So it does make it really interactive. So if kids, for example, need to draw lines between words or something, it works really great. I also work a lot with email because as you're online, the communication tool is email and WhatsApp very often. I mean, I check that with the parents, but it works very well. I also I'm looking at, for example, if any languages, children work on languages, WhatsApp is fantastic to use because they can record their answers on WhatsApp and then check the answers, because it's sort of it's very similar. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because as soon as you let the button go, that message is there. If they've got somebody to send it to, a mum, a dad, perfect, because it simulates a little bit of nerve. It doesn't really matter if anything comes out of it, but it's a good way to practice. I find online, there's, like I said before, there's a lot of online, same as Marion said, online material that is out there that parents and children can use, young adults. There is Quizlet, there's Memrise, and a lot of interactive material. There's a lot of material out there that also corrects things automatically online, which is fantastic, especially if you're working towards a specific goal at target. So, but yeah.
Brilliant.
So I lose my link.
Yeah, that's really good. And from a digital strategist side of things, the tools that you could use between, say, communicating between your online tutor and other members of your class, perhaps, whilst we're all sort of a little bit more isolated, is like WhatsApp, Messenger. You can do video calls for both Messenger and WhatsApp, so you can get groups of you together and simulate a classroom style in that way, even if you don't have a teacher helping you. So even if you're a pupil and actually the school hasn't got the facilities to facilitate online learning, you as a child, especially as a teen, you could actually facilitate that yourself, get a few of your friends together, make a group. And that's where Facebook groups come in really handy, because I know that both Claudia and Marion have a Facebook group, and I will let them tell you about that in a second. But groups are really good as well, because in Facebook especially, what happens in a group, if you have it as a private group, stays in the group. So if you want to have an environment where you can teach and know that only the people in the group can see the teachings and also can see the answers, so that it doesn't, you know, like you haven't got other people making an opinion. It's just inside that group. That's really helpful. So before we move to the next question, which is our final question of this live, perhaps Marion and Claudia can tell you about their groups. So if you do need the support and you would like to join their groups, we'll pop the groups in the link underneath this video so that you can jump into their groups for support. So Claudia, I know yours is specific to a language. So do you want to tell yours first, and then Marion can discuss hers a little bit more because it's more aimed at the primary school years. So
yeah, I mean, at the moment, I've literally just created the group simply because a lot of my students, I feel, really need help, and not just my students. A lot of people out there need help, and I'm very passionate about the kids just getting the help that they need, isn't it? Yeah. And getting guidance and support. So basically, I've just created a group to do with basic German, GCSE and A-levels. And what it is, it's that gives the children guidance, support for what is coming next, and how to keep their language going, because any language needs a bit of TLC, really, because a language is not something you can leave for 2 months and then pick it up again. It is something, continuous support is really important. And that is why I've created the group, because I don't want them to feel lost. I want them to be able to do something a little bit every day. So this is what I do in the group. I do small tasks every day.
Okay.
But also encourage the kids to ask questions. And also, if it's all right with the parents, I'm sort of working out how it will work. If they need to have a little oral and send it, and I can have a listen to it, that's fine as well. Okay. That's totally free, that group. So it's nothing, you know, it's just really to support.
What's it called, Claudia?
It's called German for GCSE and A-levels.
Okay, brilliant. So if you can maybe, whilst Marion's talking, copy the link for that on Facebook, and if you send it to me in Messenger, I'll pop it into the comments, or if you can do that, it'd be great. So Marion, can you tell us a little bit about your group that you've got?
Yes, absolutely. So I set mine up before all of this coronavirus thing happened, and it's called the Homework Helpline Hub, and that the premise being that it's empowering parents to help their children learn. That's our sort of raison d'etre, if you want. So I'm setting out to give parents knowledge, confidence, advice, top tips, support, everything that they might need to be able to help their children's learning in primary schools at home. And then the coronavirus hit. So I thought, well, what can I possibly do to help? And so all of last week, and I will continue to do it, I'm doing free webinars every day at sort of mixed up times whilst I'm kind of traveling around, but I'm going to be back in the UK tomorrow, so it'll be much more regular next week. So we've done like Key Stage 1 shape, space and measure maths topic, and I've taught, and I teach at the parents, but they're child friendly. I don't swear or whatever in them anyway, so your child can also watch them. And then I did a Key Stage 2 shape and space one, and I've done one on the use of an apostrophe, for example. So anything that the group wants, really, I'm just sort of telling, because parents will be sitting at home thinking, well, this is all very well, but I can't remember how to do long division, or I cannot for the life of me remember what an adverb is. So I'm really helping them to be able to help their children. But that's kind of morphing a little bit with the coronavirus into doing some lives for children. I'm also just working on something which will be available next week. It's called the On-Call Teacher. And it's going to be basically on my website, which I'll pop it, well, you get it from the group as well. But if you're struggling, you're sitting at your desk, or your child is struggling, or you're having World War III and there's a meltdown, and you just need the voice of a stranger and a teacher to come and say, right, look, this is how we do it. This is how you're going to do it. You can book me for 15 minutes, half an hour. Sorry about the noise in the background. Okay, 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, or up to an hour, anytime between 9 and 12. During this coronavirus disaster, this homeschooling, and it'll all be quite easy to book on Calendly and things. So I'm doing some, and that will be paid at £10 for 15 minutes. But the webinars in my group are completely free, and then I'm doing one-to-one tutoring as well. So I really hope that I can help people, and I hope to see lots of people in the group and them asking lots of questions, so I can improve and maybe refresh some of their knowledge from when they were at school.
Okay, so I've just shared Claudia's, and I'm just getting yours now, so I'll just share yours underneath as well. The final question before we end this at the moment is, what advice would you give to parents to support their children as they learn? So we've discussed quite a lot of this, but obviously some advice maybe for children to, you know, like you say, we've got different spectrum here. We've got the senior school, and then we've got the junior school. So their teachings and their requirements are completely different. So from Claudia's point of view, for the senior school, maybe is there anything else you'd like to add about sort of motivation, maybe getting them together, networking, all those sorts of things? And then Marion can tell us a little bit about the junior.
Yeah, I think key is really that the young adults already have a goal in mind. They know more or less what they want to do. They want to either do A-levels, or if they're doing A-levels, they want to go to university. And it's just a thing at the moment to realize that not to leave a gap. Yeah, so they need to, and this is where I said earlier to bring in the schedule, just don't leave a gap. Don't leave it to the last minute, because I mean, we know how it all is. We think, oh yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Suddenly they're 2 weeks gone. I mean, with the parents trying to cope with the kids doing this, perhaps playing online. I mean, the time just flies.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, really now it's a good time to just say, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's schedule it. We can change it. We can tweak it. But one of the biggest thing is plan. Do something a little bit every day. Especially languages, don't leave your vocabulary behind. Simply just do a bit every day, but for the other topics as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And Marion?
Yeah, so it's, yes, as I sort of alluded to earlier, when you're sort of scheduling, it's first of all, definitely only work in the morning. And I'm glad Claudia agrees, even with the older children. I mean, when they're at work, they're in a kind of different mindset. And so you're going to have a bit of, when they're at school, it's very much easier for them to concentrate for lengths of time. Particularly little children can't concentrate. I would definitely break it down into small chunks, like half an hour for each topic, and then change. Even if they haven't finished, or you think that they should do more, come back to it another day. You know, this is not going to last this week. It's going to go on for a lot longer than that. So manageable time chunks. Breaks are really, really important. So if you can get outside, despite the coronavirus, particularly for little children, exercise and fresh air is really important. And you will learn that if you keep your children indoors all day, that they are completely bonkers by the end of the day and turning, you know, that you're climbing the wall. So actually you do need to give them downtime. So the parks are open. The National Trust, I see, has opened all of its parks for free during this virus. So get out there and keep exercising and fresh air. And in the afternoon, I would certainly do lots of various activities, like all sorts of fun stuff that they enjoy doing, you know, not necessarily just sitting in front of the telly, but do lots of different things, and you can do learning whilst you go, but it doesn't feel like it. So lots of breaks, and structured breaks. So not just like, oh, I feel like going to the loo now, I'll go and make myself a cup of tea, but actually like, well, it's not 10 o'clock yet. You can go for a quick pee, and then you come back and we're working till 10, and then we'll have a break till 1:30. And then at 1:30, you're like, we've got a word here in Kenya, it's Kali, which means that you are really strict about it. And so you've got to be like a teacher about it, really, I would suggest to parents.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so hopefully if you're watching this live, we've really helped you with some of the pointers. I know in the UK the schools are shutting today, so I think the stress levels probably will rise a little bit next week when everyone gets used to sort of getting used to having everyone at home, and also as an entrepreneur, like reworking our own times around our kids and all those sorts of things that will come up. So if you have any questions whatsoever, then please do pop them in the comments. Marion and Claudia and I will still be keeping an eye on this video so that we'll be able to answer your comments. And please do feel free to join the groups that we've put into the comments. And if you have any questions, please do ask, and do by all means share this video to whomever you think it would be useful to. So thank you very much, Claudia, and thank you very much, Marion, all the way from Kenya, for joining me today. And I will
thank you for having us.
Soon. Brilliant. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.